So, Renee, I'd love to talk to you today a little bit about self care, particularly for new mums. And it might seem like it's almost an impossible task or counterintuitive. It's how is this person going to focus on self care whenever they're focusing on this little bundle who is literally at times sucking the life clean out of them? I would love you to talk me through why we should be really considering this a priority and what that might look like.
Absolutely. So we've got some really great research that backs this. Because I know that self care can be this like bit of a fluff term that gets thrown around, particularly on social media. But there is serious science around this. There was a research study done in Victoria, and they were following women in the first 6 months post birth, and what they showed was that the mothers who took 30 minutes of self care per week, and it didn't need to be, consolidated 30 minutes, but 30 minutes per week were three times less likely to develop postnatal depressive symptoms, which is absolutely fascinating. And I kind of look at it and go, if Big Pharma could bottle that, that would be a, a blockbuster drug, right? And so in that particular study, they and I don't advocate for this type of self-care, but if this is the bare minimum that you can get, then go for it, mums. But it was things like, going to the grocery store by yourself and maybe just going for a walk by yourself is totally fine. But a lot of it stemmed around doing an activity by yourself. Um, so yes, there's a lot of science around that, and you know, when we've got statistics like 1 in 5 mothers experiencing postnatal depression in Australia, I think any opportunity that we can take to kind of move the needle on that, I think we should take that.
I mean, I think just thinking back to whenever I had my children, and particularly when I went from one to two, my concern was always that my first child was going to feel left out. So anytime that I had to like focus on him. But in reality, what we're saying is that yes, of course, that's important, but actually, you probably need some time that is just for you by yourself to have a little bit of a brain rest from a toddler asking you questions all the time. In terms of self care, I mean, I have to say, the old walking around the supermarket doing the groceries by myself, not sure that feels like self care.
I know, I didn't think so either.
I'm like, okay.
I was like, was she listening to like her favorite podcast at the time or something?
Clearly mine. But
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, so whenever we're thinking self-care, in reality, what are we thinking would be helpful and reasonable for a new mum to do?
Yeah, that's right. Um, so when we're looking at that, I think I always go back to, and when I talk to mums about this, they're like, I just don't have time. I don't have time. I'm not a physicist. I can't create time. And I'm like, absolutely. I agree with you. So this is where I get mums to actually write down, and I always say, do this during pregnancy. Write down on a piece of paper 1 minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Write down something that you can do in each of those time categories. And ideally, we would love for you to be able to do and pick one of those things each and every day. Um, yes. Yep. So 1 minute can be as easy as, and I get mums to do this all the time. If they're feeding Bubby, it's just making sure your feet are planted on the ground. Close your eyes, take some deep breaths, you know? Um, That can be a 1 minute thing easily. Humming as well, or singing, because we know that that triggers the vagus nerve, parasympathetic nervous system, and we just get that easing. That's why we sing to our babies when they're upset. It's actually not to soothe them, it's to soothe us, PS everyone. Like so that can be like a 1 minute task. 5 minutes, I mean, you could. I'm a music person. I loved, loved, loved listening to music, and I still do. And so it could be, popping on your favorite song on your headphones or whatever it is. Um, it could be just making a cup of tea. and drinking it warm instead of cold in the garden. Just walking outside. It can be with your baby in the carrier and just noticing nature around you. Notice the leaves moving, notice the sky, the movement of the clouds. I know it sounds really airy fairy, but for some people, like that's all you need to kind of just have that circuit breaker. If you want to get up and, wiggle your bum and dance to music and whatever it is, whatever floats your boat. For me, the overarching thing is you want to feel that oxytocin booster. You want to feel that love and peace and joy. Hug your dog. Whatever floats your boat, like that's what you want to be doing.
And I think in terms of self-care, good nutrition definitely feels like self-care. Whenever you've got yummy, tasty food that feels healthy, it kind of makes you feel good inside. But definitely, again, trying to get yourself organized to have those healthy snacks and nice foods. Have you any sort of ideas or any things that you know are really helpful to have in the house at that time?
Yes, I'm a huge advocate for one-handed snacks because I had a barnacle baby. So, like any opportunity where it was like a single-handed thing, um, it may not be the yummiest thing for most people, but like boiled eggs are kind of like the best thing ever. They've got so much nourishment in them. So boiled eggs are super, super easy to do. I always say, and talking about time, if a friend comes over and is like, "Oh, what can I do for you?" Boil some eggs. Like, can you boil some eggs, throw them in the fridge, shell them for me, all the rest of it, do that. The other thing that I love are what I call smoothie dump bags. So it's putting all the ingredients of a smoothie. So it can be like banana, frozen spinach, some frozen berries, maybe some oats, some protein powder, something like that. Throw them all into bags, pop them in the freezer, then chuck them in the blender, add whatever liquid you want, so coconut water, almond milk, blitz it. Again, great single one-handed snack. Um, if I wanna do a shameless plug, we've got our lactation cookie mix, which is a dry mix that you can, have in your pantry all the time, and they are super high in protein and really good to have just on your, feeding station type thing. I call them the perfect 3 AM snack, because that is when you are going to be very hungry, and consuming food. I don't know about you, Shauna, but every time I fed during the middle of the night, I would, like, wander downstairs and I'd be eating, like, bowls of Nutri-Grain because I just needed that sugar hit and also, like, I was just starving feeding my baby. So, yeah, I've made those cookie mixes to essentially appease the people like myself who were consuming way too many cereals, at 3 AM and middle of the night.
So, what are lactation cookies?
Yeah, so I think I'll have to say, first and foremost, they're not going to make you spontaneously lactate at the drop of a hat. If I could manage that, I'd be a squillionaire. So if anyone hears about a lactation product which is going to tell you, you're going to double your, milk production in 48 hours or your money back guarantee, they're trying to sell you snake oil, like, it's not it's not a thing. Essentially, when it comes to lactation support, um, any, uh any kind of chemical, whether it be synthetic or natural, that helps with the production of prolactin and you get oxytocin as well, which are the 2 hormones you need for breastfeeding. Anything to kind of get those going in your body, they're called galactagogues, so they help with lactation. So, food sources like oats, flax meal, I think for me, chocolate hits the oxytocin receptors quite well in my brain. So, we obviously include those. And obviously, there's brewer's yeast in those. So, it's to help with your, I guess, make sure that you're fueling your body with good nutrition, and protein we know helps with that, so you don't get that crazy sugar spike, but also it's got those great galactagogues in there as well. So, yeah.
Okay, I always wondered that. Any suggestion around movement types that might be helpful in self care in this time?
Oh, absolutely. and you wanna hit that oxytocin. So if you are a mover and a shaker like I was like, I love dancing, to, like, good music, then move your body. Like, that's why when we go to the gym, we get this amazing rush of endorphins. Like, any opportunity, if it feels good, just do it. Just go with it. I distinctly remember, like, having my daughter in my arms, and I just remember the house was so quiet, and I was just like, "Why am I not meshing with this?" I'm like, "Because I would always have music on when I was at home," and I was like, "I'm gonna do that." And so I would be, like, bopping away with my daughter through the house, just, like, moving, and it's just this instant lift, um, as well. And the other thing I'll mention, only because I spoke to someone about this yesterday, is smile. Like, it's amazing what, like, just a beautiful, gentle smile can do to just kind of circuit break your brain, and just, like, it just brings in this, like, nice kind of comfort and get those chemicals kind of released in your body of serotonin, dopamine. So, yeah, if you're feeling a little bit rough and you just want some basic stuff, move your body, smile, put some good music on, and eat some chocolate if that's your thing.
What about women who are feeling like they're so overwhelmed that the thought of having self-care is nearly like another to-do list, and it just becomes like, "Oh, I'm barely coping as it is, and now you want me to do X, Y, or Z." What would you say to that?
That is super, super common. Very, very common. It's a discussion that I have with a lot of mums. And so there's kind of like a step by step process that I walk people through. The first thing I will say is that they deserve it. Because a lot of women go, "Oh, I don't deserve this," or like, "I don't have time," and, "Oh, but my baby needs me." And very similar to you, where you were like, "If I'm not with my baby, then I need to be with my other kids." And that's true, but we also need to understand that we are better mothers when we take care of ourselves. And so there's this just beautiful ripple effect that happens within our family and community. So we do need to take time for ourselves. So you do deserve it. Um, the next step I would say is you need to be able to communicate that to your inner circle, and you need to let them know and be very specific with, I need to take some time for myself, and I would love to get you to help me facilitate that. And you need to be specific with what you want to do and when you want to do it. So, for example, because I always had these conversations with my husband. I'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm at the end of my tether and I'm just really struggling, and I just need some time." And he's like, "Of course you can have time. Of course, you just need to tell me." And it's like, "I don't wanna tell you. Like, I just want you to give me that permission." That's the other thing. We're waiting for permission from someone else to get that time. So what I say is you need to be specific. So on Wednesday at 10 a.m., I'm gonna need 30 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever it is, and I need you to be at home, or I need you to take care of the kids for this time amount. And so you're really specific with your expectations of when it is and what you're doing and what you need that person to do. So now they're on board. And so now you've got this free time. So you have opportunity to do it and, actually go out and facilitate it. And the other thing I will always mention is make sure that you respect your boundaries. So if someone pushes back, and sometimes people do when they ask for help, some people push back and be like, "Oh, well, I managed motherhood all by myself. Like, why can't you?" It's like, okay, well, that's great. That's you, but this is me. And so I would really love for you to be able to help me facilitate this. So understand that you deserve it, understanding that there needs to be clear communication, make it specific, and then also make sure that you're respecting your boundaries, and write it down as well. I find that, we write down and organize vaccinations and health stuff and dentists for our kids, but when it comes to ourselves, we really struggle to like make that time for ourselves. So write it down, put it in the diary.
It really resonated with me whenever you talked about getting permission. And I think that is really, really foundational. I think if you are a mum with a new baby you already do worry, are you doing the right thing? Is everything going well? Are you being a good enough mom? And when you, I suppose, do make that bid to have a little bit of self care, and the other person in your life perhaps doesn't seem to give you the permission or the encouragement, then that can nearly feel like that person doesn't want you to have self care. So I think for anyone listening, it is really important that you do encourage that person and say, yes, please go you and do that. That's a great idea. Please go and have a bath. I'll take the baby. If you hear the baby crying, please just, put your music on and go and have a nice bath. Please just relax. I think people kind of do need permission because they're so busy worrying, are they being a good enough mom and are they doing it right, that they are anxiously kind of waiting for other people to say, yes, what you're doing is good and actually looking after yourself is good. So thank you. That really did resonate for me. And I remember feeling like that myself. The other thing I was going to say is I had all my four children in Ireland, and I have to say, in Ireland, people are very generous when you have a baby. The presents, the cards, the flowers, like it's unbelievable. And you kind of think by the time you get to the fourth that their enthusiasm will have waned, but it doesn't. From my old school teachers to my mum's next door neighbors to, people from church, like the presents were unreal. But what always struck me was a couple of older mums who always would come in and say, I didn't buy anything for the baby, but this is for you. And they would buy like a candle that they knew I loved, or, I can remember one friend actually bought me some really lovely pajamas and things like that. So I think that can be a really nice thing because often babies do get a lot of stuff and they often get a lot of clothes that maybe they'll never wear. So maybe think about buying the mum a little gift instead. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. My catchphrase is she doesn't need another onesie. Like, honestly, she doesn't. Because as you say, they just like, they're in it for a week and then off it goes. Like, unless you're going to have more kids, then and pack it away, but hand it down. But honestly, like that is, we're actually seeing an uptick. We have like a fill my cup day that we have, and we're seeing more and more times where people, groups of women are coming together and purchasing that for a mum to be. And it's just this beautiful opportunity for this mum to be absolutely like just blissed out and nurtured and nourished. And it is such a beautiful time. So we are seeing that shift, I think, from the stock standard onesies and fluffy teddies and things like that to, you know what? She actually needs something for herself. And the other thing that we're seeing coming through, and I love these, postpartum parties. So baby showers are out. I'm calling it. Postpartum parties are totally in. And these parties are in lieu of a baby shower. So all your girlfriends come over. You can do it in a couple of different ways, but essentially come over and they spring clean your entire house. Everything from like taking everything out of the fridge and wiping it down. So spring clean the house, but as part of that, also, it'll either be they'll cook, everyone will bring a meal that can be frozen. So they stock your fridge and freezer with all of that. They arrange the nursery. So all the clothes have been washed, tags are off, everything's folded nicely, feeding stations are like stocked. Like it is just magic. And also on top of that, they've got these amazing websites. There's one called Give with Gravy, and it's a website where you can log on and say, I'm having a baby. You can pop in and you might say, I'd love someone to volunteer for an hour every week to take my toddler to the park. And, people can log on and go, yep, I'm going to be there this week, this week, this week. It can be, I need someone to come on Thursdays and walk the dog, or I'd love for someone to help, pay for my pelvic floor physio or whatever it is. We're seeing upticks in postpartum parties and almost like, I don't want to call them GoFundMe pages, but like things where people are volunteering their time and energy instead of, gifts per se.
I love that. And I love that how people even think of these ideas to create these websites for all this stuff. It's so good. Um, Obviously, many mums, we can say all these things, but many mums do struggle with feeling guilty. They feel that they're being indulgent or that they're, maybe being a little bit selfish. What would you say to mums who are thinking, okay, I'm listening to all this stuff about self care, but actually, I just don't know if I can do it?
I think the first thing I would say is I hear you because I was that person. Absolutely was that person. I was a person who believed that I could do it all and that I didn't need other people to help. And I also felt a lot of guilt and shame for, asking for help. My husband was like the first person to say to me, I think we need to engage like a nanny. I think we should, speak with a lactation consultant. I think, we should start building networks around us, like, so you can get support, because we didn't have any friends or family close by to kind of lean on when we had our baby. And I was just a big, hard no. Like, it was like, absolutely not. People have been doing this for generations. I can do this all by myself. And I will say to mums that you can absolutely have that attitude, but it doesn't end well. Like, it honestly doesn't. My mental health spiraled. And I ended up engaging every single one of those people in the end, but it felt probably twice as hard because, as I was saying earlier, like, building relationships with your village, whoever it is, friends, family, allied healthcare professionals during pregnancy is a hell of a lot easier than in your postpartum when you're tired, you're sore, your brain is mashed peas. Like, it's much, much harder. And so give yourself a bit of grace and just go, you know what? This would be much easier to do with a village of people. And I want to open myself and learn about these experiences from these other women so I can make my job easier. You don't want it to be harder. I don't think there's anyone in life who has said, oh no, I really want to take the hard route to this way. Like, it's just like, just don't do it. It's so much easier. Co-parenting, it's so much easier. Learning from other people's wisdoms and their mistakes as well, which is great to have.
Yeah, absolutely. Investing now will definitely make the future easier.
Yes, absolutely.
I've got one last question for you, and you may or may not know the answer to this. We did not ever learn this in medical school, but I've read recently that when you have had a baby, that cells from the baby go and implant themselves in your brain and change your brain. Now, obviously, that's a very simplistic way of explaining it, but is this right?
I've heard that this is correct. I haven't actually read the paper on it, but I've heard that this is actually true. Um, and I think this is actually, where I see this come up a lot in terms of pregnancy loss. I see this come up a lot where it's a beautiful notion to mothers that our babies are always with us, whether, they're on the earth or in the earth. So I think that this is a really beautiful thing to have with us. And I also hear that, they help with reducing inflammation and things like that. So our babies are our biggest protectors and our biggest teachers, I think, in life. So, yeah.
I'm gonna have to go and look that up and make sure, but I think it makes sense when you think about the NIPT test, which basically detects sort of placental and fetal cells in the maternal blood. It probably makes sense in some shape or form, but I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Renee, any final tips around self-care for new mums?
Um, I think that's probably the overarching thing. Take the time to do it. It will pay dividends in the future. You absolutely deserve it. There's science that backs it. Like, if you, you hear about it all on social media. Oh, self-care, self-care. We all need to do it. Yeah, we absolutely do need to do it. It doesn't need to be expensive. It doesn't need to be a 2-week retreat in Bali, with yoga and, special herbs. It can be as easy as throwing on your favorite music, jiving it up in your lounge room, with your baby in a carrier. Whatever gets the oxytocin flowing through your blood is exactly what you need to do.
Amazing. Renee, thank you so much. You've been so generous with your knowledge. I absolutely love your approach. So if anyone wants to get in contact with you, how can they do so?
We are typically hanging out at Instagram. So it's at fillyourcup_, or they can jump onto our website, which is ifillyourcup.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shauna.
As someone who went straight from pregnant to menopausal very quickly, my skin really, really deteriorated quite rapidly. Now, I'd always had a sensitive skin, but my barrier function deteriorated and I developed really very obvious rosacea. And this is something that I see day after day in my clinic also. So many of you reached out and asked what I recommend and why. I have to say that since I opened my clinic, I've been using a brand called Rationale. They're an Australian brand that have been around for about 30 years. And what I absolutely love about Rationale is the products. They feel very luxurious, but they're extremely scientifically derived. And they've got these ingredients called skin identical formulations. All the ingredients, the minerals, the vitamins, everything that's included, the proteins, the lipids have all been found naturally within the human body, and therefore they're recognized by the body. So the ingredients are really, really well received. I find that menopausal skins and perimenopausal skins are dry, irritated, and sensitive. And with this range, I'm able to create a bespoke skincare plan for my patients. If you're interested in getting some of these amazing products, head to rationale.com and use the code YOU at checkout to receive some exciting bonus samples with your order. This podcast and any information, advice, opinions, or statements within it do not constitute medical, healthcare, or other professional advice. Information is provided for educational and entertainment purposes only. If you have any health concerns, always consult your doctor.